Hi, and welcome to In God We Trust. I'm your host, Maggie Riggins. Our guest today is Anne DeSantis, and Anne is a woman that wears many different hats. She's a wife, mother, model, actress, TV show host, director of a foundation, believer in God, and my friend. And I'm hoping that throughout the show, we'll be able to talk about each of those roles that Anne has and how she encounters God in those roles. So Anne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Maggie. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited that we get to spend some time together to talk about, again, all those different roles that many of us have in our lives. But why don't we start first with talking about your work with the Nonatus Foundation, of which you're the director. Can you share us what that foundation is about, its goal, its mission, and what you do?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, the St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith is an expression and an application from the Mercedarian religious order. And if no one's heard of that religious order, you can learn more. You can take out your phone and look up orderofmercy.org. They're headquartered in Philadelphia, and they have 4 vows to their charism, which was poverty, chastity, obedience, and then the willingness to give their lives to those who are in danger of losing their faith. And the St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation was formed from that 4th vow, realizing that there's so many people and individuals and families who are going through crisis situations. So in 2015, the Mercedarian friars decided to start this foundation, and the initial outreach is to families and individuals affected by divorce and separation. So that's where we began, and I've been the director for about a year, and we're doing special outreach right now online. What we're doing is we are having these monthly online support groups for individuals who are affected by divorce and separation. The divorce group is on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we have another group at the end of the month, the last Thursday of each month, and that's at 8 o'clock at night Eastern Standard Time for adult children of divorce. The focus of those groups are prayer, reflection, sharing in a safe place, and also attended by a Mercedarian friar and myself, and guided by the teachings of the church.
Right.
So that's kind of our initial outreach. We've also done live retreats too, and we are focusing a little bit now also on another big problem, which is human trafficking.
Yeah.
And also we're doing a little bit with prison ministry, meaning that's another outreach that we are intending on getting involved with.
One of the things that I wasn't aware of the order was that 4th vow. Can you talk about that again, about their vow to help those that they might be losing their faith?
Yes, and of course now the religious order was founded in 1218. That was 800 years ago. They just celebrated big celebrations last year for the Mercedarians. And today's they call it a captivity. That's the word that we use. Captivities are much different than what it was back then. Today's captivity can be, crisis in family life, divorce, separations, suicide, drugs, alcohol, addictions. There's all kinds of things that are, bringing people further away from their faith. They're just some. So that's why we're doing this, is to make outreach to those people that are in crisis.
Right, and especially with those that are experiencing divorce and separation, when you feel that one relationship is broken, sometimes you really feel like your relationship with God can also be broken. Can you share a little bit about the resources that are there and the hope or the healing that they provide?
Yes, first of all, I would say go to our website. Check out our website. It's at nonatus.org. That's spelled NONNATUS.org. And you can take a look at our resource page there. And as I said, the largest thing we're focusing on right now are these support groups online. We really are small at this point, but we would like to go nationwide with these support groups, because since it is online, it can be done anywhere.
Right.
So it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would be 7 Central, 6 Mountain. And so it's available anytime for anyone at that time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard across the country.
Right.
So yeah, that's the main thing that we're doing right now. And as I said, we are starting some outreach to human trafficking and trying to provide some resources for them and helping them to spread the word about their missions to help those who are affected by human trafficking and also prison ministry too.
Right, so you're really trying to help those that in one sense don't have their freedom, and really speak to them about faith and trust and having hope in and through the foundation. I think that's an excellent focus.
We do our best. I mean, we have, as I said, the Mercedarian Friars are wonderful, and wherever you are, you can check it out again, orderofmercy.org, and learn more about them, and also their vocations too, the religious order.
Right. So in addition to the online resources and the support groups, are there any big initiatives at the foundation right now in terms of, isn't it in the middle of a new fundraising effort or things like that?
Oh, that's always happening.
Right, I know. Any foundation.
That is always happening. In fact, if anybody's watching, yes, I mean, we are always doing campaigns to try to build up our resources because then we can help more people.
Right.
So that's the most important thing. And, we do have a donate button on the website, nonatus.org. So, yes, please, and that's probably the biggest focus is now, as I said again, these online support groups and spreading the word, because what we would love to do is just for those support groups to be advertised in church bulletins and on websites throughout the country. So if you're watching out there, please, let your churches know, your diocese, your archdiocese know about the work we're doing.
Yeah, fantastic. And how did you get involved with the foundation, or do you have a personal connection to the work of the foundation?
I do. I guess it was probably about 7 years ago or so. You're familiar with what a spiritual director is. It's someone who guides you along in your spiritual journey. I had 2 spiritual directors die within a year. They both had cancer. And I was looking for a new spiritual director. So lo and behold, I had made a phone call to the Monastery of Our Lady of Mercy. It's in Philadelphia, in West Philadelphia area, near City Avenue, and made a phone call there. And lo and behold, found that spiritual director. And then they had hired their first director, was about 2 years ago or so, and she did quit the position. So I had already become what we call a third order member of the Order of Mercy, and was very active in the community and everything. And at that time, one of the priests had said to me, we really need help. So I came on board as the administrative assistant, and then from there was given the position of director, which I'm very grateful for, and praying and doing my best every day to try to make this foundation be heard about throughout the country.
Right. So you mentioned your way of finding out about the foundation through having a spiritual director. Can you talk about the importance or the role that a spiritual director can play in a person's life?
Sure, I can, definitely. I mean, it's not a therapist, it's not a psychologist. It's someone to guide you along the spiritual path, because as we know, that communication with God is going to be through prayer. And yes, maybe through reading some scripture and meditating and trying to listen to God's voice in your life every day. It's so important, because I know that you talked with me on my show, The Positive Side, on RVNTV, about living in the present moment.
Right.
Part of that is, keeping your ears open to how God is speaking to you every day.
And sometimes if we think that God is talking with us, sometimes it's great to run that by someone else.
It is.
So that we're not on this journey alone, and having a spiritual director is also, connecting you to a larger community, that we're not alone and we don't have to figure everything out ourselves. So when we have a feeling or a leaning, or we think of prayers being answered, to be able to have that person that walks with us on our faith journey is absolutely
really
important. So if anybody's thinking about expanding their spirituality in some way, or they're looking for help, see if you could find a spiritual director. I mean, Anne, you went through, calling a seminary, but maybe your local church or your pastor, or maybe even if you talk to people at work, about how you can find a spiritual director. One of the people that used to work at DeSales University, Sister John Marie, she was a specialist in spiritual direction, except she wouldn't say spiritual direction, she would say spiritual companioning. That we're companions on this journey, not to necessarily direct in one way or another, but to companion. So thank you for sharing your own spiritual direction story with us. That's
Happy
great.
to.
So in addition to your work with the foundation, you're also involved in a lot of different things. I said, we all have many different vocations in life. So the directorship of the foundation is one part of how you spend your time. And then there's also those other roles that you play and that you have in your life. You want to start talking about one of your other many hats that you wear?
Yes, and I'll just backtrack a little bit. I am in my mid-50s. And I had my first child in her 30s. You know her, Anne DeSantis, who goes to DeSales University, where you work. I was a stay-at-home mom for 20 years, pretty much. And I guess it was maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, someone had said to me, have you ever thought about getting involved in, at that time I wasn't in my 50s, 40-plus modeling? And I said, no, I haven't. But I'm willing to see what it's all about. And so I went through a modeling and talent agency. I got trained, and from at that point, got involved in doing some local TV commercials, some print modeling. I have even been on a couple TV shows as background and things like that. And that's really been exciting because, as I said before, I was home for 20 years. I was a homeschooling mother. So I homeschooled my 2 kids, Elaine and Sean DeSantis. Elaine goes to DeSales, Sean goes to Gwynedd Mercy University. And that was a joy. And to me, that time with them was very special. I never thought in a million years that, well, maybe not a million years, but I wasn't thinking in my head then the direction that my life would be in now. Because I'm working here at RVNTV as a TV host for The Positive Side. I absolutely love that. I've always loved to talk to people. I've always loved to listen to people's stories.
Well, we're going to take a break now, and we're going to continue talking about your own story and the people's stories that you get to hear on your show on The Positive Side. But for right now, we'll take a short break.
Choosing Medicare coverage can be a very confusing and complicated process. Help is just a phone call away, 856-226-4800. As a licensed insurance agent, I'll assist you in making an informed and confident decision on a Medicare plan that meets your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Call me today for a free, no-obligation Medicare benefits consultation, 856-226-4800.
When did you see the sign?
When I needed to create a better visitor experience.
Improve our workflow.
Attract new customers. That's when Fast Signs recommended Fleet Graphics.
Yeah, now business is rolling in. Get started at fastsigns.com.
What do I want to be when I grow up? Maybe a musician? A veterinarian? Maybe an equestrian? A mommy? Well, why not be all these things and more? Consider joining me, Dr. V, with friends and colleagues as we explore a wide range of topics together. V is for variety, here on RVN TV.
Welcome back to In God We Trust. We're having a great conversation with Anne DeSantis. And Anne was just talking about her 20 years that she spent as a stay-at-home mom and with homeschooling her children and not realizing what path might have unfolded for her. And so we're going to pick up that conversation now.
Thank you, yes. And I've talked about this on my show, The Positive Side on RVNTV, is that, in life, part of life is trust. Trusting God, and that's what I did. And I feel that during the time of being with the girls, the 20 years being a stay-at-home mother, homeschooling. It was a wonderful joy. It has helped me to have a close relationship with my 2 daughters, and I would never go back and change that. But I'm always open to new things, you know, and once, you know, they're both in college, and having gotten involved in the modeling and acting field in the greater Philadelphia area and up in New York, I like acting, but to be honest with you, this kind of thing is more comfortable for me. I've always liked listening to people's stories. I've always liked learning. So acting, yes, it's a great thing, but for me, this is kind of more my cup of tea, talk show, and just, you know, getting to know people and letting people know about the good things that people are doing. And The Positive Side, that my TV show on Fridays at 12:30 p.m., and then there's also a 1 p.m. version of the show. It's all about the good things that people are doing. I speak to a lot of nonprofits. I speak to people of faith, people in the exercise world, people who are interested in healthy nutrition, because I am too. And just, you know, people who are touching other people's lives. That's what The Positive Side is all about. And to be quite honest, that's what my life, I've tried to follow that. And I joke, I look right in that camera when it's my show, and I say, you know, this show is for me too, because I need positivity, I need faith, I need trust in God. And that's what, having this show actually helps me to connect also with my own faith, is listening to the wonderful things that people are doing. So if you're out there and you're watching this show and you're interested in the positive side, contact me. My personal website is annedesantis.com, and my work, which we talked about, the St. Raymond and Nonnatus Foundation, which is outreach to families in crisis, is nonatus.org. I don't know, I know you have a graphic, I think, of that. Do we have a graphic of that one? The 2 websites? There we go. So the first one on top there, that is my work website. As I said, Families in Crisis, initial mission is to families and individuals affected by divorce and separation. And annedesantis.com will tell you about my own life, modeling and acting career, Nonatus Foundation, and also my writing. I forgot to mention that. I am a writer for 2 Catholic websites. I'm a writer for CatholicMom.com and also for Catholic 365, where I write articles about faith, trust in God. And also, I know we were talking before the show, I'm a person who does really like our current Pope Francis, our Holy Father, and a lot of his meditations have been very helpful to me in my own life too.
Okay.
And I brought some of them.
Oh, great.
I thought we could talk about some of them. One of them is, let us abandon a language of condemnation and embrace one of mercy. And I know mercy is a big part of what the Pope has brought forth to people of faith. Reaching out to those in need, it is so important. If you've ever been in a situation where you felt alone, didn't know what to do, didn't feel God's presence. I know I've been there. And words like that helps you to understand that, yes, you are not alone. This show is called In God We Trust. That's what it's all about, you know? You're gonna have times in your life where, yes, you don't feel God's presence. You don't know which direction your life's gonna go in. But as that quote said, you know, abandoning condemnation. And that's part of what the foundation I work for, the Nonatus Foundation, is that we're not there to condemn. We're there to help people feel loved and know that they are supported by the church and by us.
Right. Because so often if people have lost faith, maybe they felt somehow that they were condemned by someone else, that they weren't good enough or they weren't fitting a certain mold. And really the Pope is reminding us to approach everyone with mercy. So it's not just a quote about ourselves, but it's also a quote of how do we interact with each other and how do we treat each other. And the Pope Francis is telling us, put aside that condemnation. It's not getting us anywhere. And to treat people with mercy and with love and compassion, the way that we believe God treats us.
That's right, that's right. And I don't think there's a person out there watching right now who hasn't at some time in your life felt some kind of condemnation. And that's not what faith is about. You know what? God loves you. And even if there are people that, you know, you have to walk away from certain relationships and go into a more healthy setting, God is with you no matter what. I have another quote I thought I could read. Sure. He has said that around us there's a presence of evil, but in a loud voice I say, God is stronger. I love that.
Right.
because, we are seeing violence in our world today. But you know what? God is stronger. And trusting in God, that's exactly what this show is about, is really where it's at. So I thank you for doing this show.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, and plus we can kind of get bogged down with thinking about all of the evil in the world and sort of losing hope or losing trust in God. But that's a nice reminder to remember that God always has our backs, or that God is always going to be stronger than anything that we could imagine in this world. So thank you for sharing that quote.
Absolutely. I have another one too. The message of Jesus is mercy. For me, I say this with humility. It is the Lord's strongest message. That's from Pope Francis. So it really is. I mean, to me, that just touches my own heart, knowing that, we are sinful people. Everybody is. I mean, just because if you're religious or you have a faith in God, it doesn't mean you're perfect. I know that you know that too.
I know that.
And and sometimes the closer you get into religion and faith, you learn how imperfect those people are, just as imperfect as anybody else. So why do we have faith? We have faith because, well, that's our salvation. Through Christ and through what he has to offer, through those gifts. But we have to continue to be compassionate. Once you lose that, I think you've lost just about everything. You have to be compassionate to people. I think I love a lot of the Bible stories. My favorite is the Good Samaritan. And two people walked by that man that was in the ditch that fell down and just walked by him and didn't think to even help. But it was his enemy. It was somebody who was thought of as an enemy that decided to help him. If you've ever felt like that, that's who we are supposed to be as Christians and as people of faith, no matter who you are. So,
the people that will pick you up out of the ditch, whatever
that's
that might
right.
be.
I've been there. I've been there. And sometimes it's surprising who are the ones that do help.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Do you have some other graphics that you wanted to share with us?
I'm not
today?
sure if there's anything that they have there that we can share. Okay, these are just pictures from some of the shows that I've done. That's The Positive Side. That was a wonderful show. Another one there, Dr. Monique Ribeiro was on my show recently, pro-life OBGYN, and wasn't sure if there's anything else. Okay, Father Stephen DeLacy. He's the vocation director for the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. So just to give you an idea of some of the people that I've hosted. And I've hosted Maggie twice, which has been so great.
It's been so great. I think with what you were saying too about the way that we can encounter Christ, in and through the stories and the scriptures, that if someone is either they have lost their Christian faith, or maybe it's on the back burner, they haven't thought about it a lot, that the quote from Pope Francis about saying that Jesus is mercy, and that Jesus is someone who is going to welcome us back with open arms, and to treat us with that positivity, of I'm here to help, I'm here to heal. And I really think that's also the focus of the foundation as well. Like, we're here to help, we're here to heal.
Thank you.
It's a place of mercy. So thank you for sharing that quote as well.
It is. And I would welcome anyone watching, please, go on my website. I shouldn't say my website, the Nonatus Foundation, St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith through the Mercedarian Religious Order at nonatus.org. Learn more about us. Connect with me. My email is director.srnf@gmail.com. And I'm even going to leave my cell in case anyone wants to text a question about what we do, 215-870-9913.
There you go. That's how to get in touch.
Yes.
Do you have any other quotes to share with us?
Yeah, let me take a look. I brought a bunch here. We are called to live the joy that comes from the encounter with Jesus, to overcome our selfishness and move beyond our comfort zone. I think all of us, and even having children, selfishness is a fight that we all have from the time we're born until the time we die, isn't it? I mean, everybody has their self-interest and what's important to them, but it's stepping outside of yourself to help others. That's where the healing comes in. I know from my own life it has too, being part of the Nonatus Foundation, finding faith in God. I mean, my faith in God came to life when I was 34 years old, just to give you a quick story. I had a pretty severe heart condition that I was healed from. I had received the sacrament of the sick, which is the sacrament of the Catholic Church, receiving the anointing. And I was one of those blessed people that was actually healed. So from there, my faith has really blossomed. I'm not saying that I haven't had struggles. Trust me, I have. I still do. But that's where my faith kind of, I really decided then, I saw Jesus, I knew he was there with me, and I made a decision at that point that I wanted to focus on my trust in God
Right. Yeah.
and my relationship with him. So.
Yeah, and in the quote, you mentioned the word joy. And I think when we do find and have that relationship with God, that our lives are more joyful. They're not any easier, you know, the struggles aren't taken away, but that joy of that interior knowing of this is a truly good way for me to live my life is in and through that joy. Can you read the quote again, Anna? Because I can't remember the rest
sure will.
of the
We
quote.
are called to live the joy that comes from the encounter with Jesus, to overcome our selfishness and move beyond our comfort zone.
Right, so if we have that joyful spirit within us, then the outside things that we want to be selfish about, you know, when we have Christ at the center, then we can't have ourselves at the center, you know, and then that pushes us out to help others.
It does, it does. And you're doing a great job. I just want to say that I'm very proud of you here.
Thank you.
That you came on to the positive side and now you have your own show, In God We Trust. And, you know, right now in this world, you know what? We all need God. There's not a person out there that's watching that doesn't need God. We happen to find it through our Catholic faith, and that's a blessing to both of us, and the sacraments of the faith. But, you know, faith is a gift, and I would encourage everyone out there to think about it, pray about it, and know that God loves you. That's the most important thing, because we all reach moments in our lives when we don't feel that connection with God, and we feel unloved. But that's not true. That is not true. God is with you.
Right, and that's really the whole goal of the show, In God We Trust, to meet people like you that have had that are working for a faith-based organization or had their own struggle with faith and have their own outlook on life, to hopefully inspire the audience to think about God, to believe in God, to have trust in God. So thank you for sharing your story.
Absolutely.
And as Anne invited anyone to be on the positive side, if you have a story of faith that you want to share on this show about how you in your own life have had an experience of God that you want to share with people, you know, contact me at RVNTV and check on the show, and you click the website on Be a Guest, and we'll love to have you on to share your story. But thank you again, Anne, for being here and for sharing your faith and the work of the foundation. I really appreciate your story and our conversation. And thank you so much for tuning in to In God We Trust.